Hey everyone, how you going? I've been searching the internet long and hard for demos and reviews of this particular bass that I have here, and I couldn't really find much. I'm no way affiliated or sponsored by Artist, so this review will just be my honest opinion from owning this bass for about like a month or so now. This bass here is the Artist Guitars electric fretless bass. I believe the full name is the vintage hybrid electric fretless bass, and it's really nice. It has been a good little bass. I've just sort of been breaking it in and just playing it, sort of getting used to the whole fretless idea. And for the money, I think it's a really nice option. This bass here retails brand new for $2.99 AUD. At least here in Australia, $2.99 for an instrument is really cheap. You know, it's not a lot of money, and normally with that amount of money, you're looking at really kind of affordable, slightly less quality instruments. They are a bit better these days, but there is a lot of garbage, honestly, out there. And so you can get more affordable options that are lesser known, and they're all just kind of built in like a factory and then just labeled with different names, and they're not that good, to be honest. There's a lot of like ones you can find on eBay and stuff, and I personally think that they're not that great. And if you were going to spend money, I'd invest a little bit more to get a name brand, just because of the quality, and you know that you're getting something good rather than taking a gamble on something like that. For $2.99, what exactly are you getting on the bass? Well, the biggest thing is it's fretless. There's no frets. They do have the lines, and they actually have the dots as well on the fingerboard to help guide you. But apart from that, yeah, it's a nice fretless bass. The range of the neck is good. It's about 21 frets. You probably could go a little bit higher if you wanted to, but I think that's about the same as a P bass. I have a Fender P, and it feels sort of the same length. The neck on this bass feels great. I believe artists do say it is a D shape, and it's nice. It's not too wide, but it is a bit bigger than a jazz bass neck. If that's any comparison to you. It's nice. It's not too narrow down at the nut, and then as you move up, it gets wider, obviously. But there's plenty of space to sort of, stretch your fingers and let them fly across. The neck has a nice sort of satin finish, so your hand won't get stuck to it if you're playing in like a hot environment, or if your hand gets sweaty. You should be able to glide really easily over the neck. The fingerboard they call Eco Rosewood, so it's just like a man-made rosewood material, I guess. I don't really know much about the sort of eco slash like kind of fake woods, but it looks nice and it does its job perfectly. It is important to note that this fingerboard isn't coated. There's no epoxy and there's no coating or anything on it, so it is just the bare fingerboard. Up on the headstock of the bass here, we've got some real basic, just kind of open gear tuners. They're fine, they do the job. If you wanted to upgrade them, you could. I personally won't, they do the job fine. The nut here, on Artist Wesbite, it says it's a genuine bone nut. I'm a little bit skeptical of that. I do think it's a synthetic bone, or like a plastic bone nut. I don't think it's a real bone nut. I might be wrong, I really have no idea. But from what it feels like, it's probably a synthetic. Moving up to the body, we've got a P bass pickup and a J pickup, so it's a nice combination. You can sort of have one or the other. And if you notice here, you've got 4 knobs, and that's because the bass is active, which for $2.99, you won't see an active bass in the market. So the fact that this is also active as well for that price, is definitely a bit of value there, a lot of value. The pickups are nice. They're I don't know what they are. I think they're just sort of generic kind of P and J pickups, but they do their job nicely, so there's nothing to really complain about there. The bridge is just a standard kind of vintage style bridge. I will say that I do think that it is kind of plated a bit cheaply. I'll show you some close-ups, but there's a lot of markings from where the screws for the saddles have sort of indented and sort of dragged on the finish, and that has sort of scratched that up. You get 4 knobs on this bass, and they are the volume up and down. This also is a push-pull, so if you pull it, it will be in passive, and you put it down, that's when the active circuit sort of kicks in. This is the blend knob, and it just sort of selects between the 2 pickups. It's notched in the center, so when you turn it and you reach that notch, you'll know that both pickups are on. I don't know if this is just my bass or if all of the basses are built like this, but when I turn it all the way to my left, that actually turns the bridge pickup on. And then vice versa, when I turn it the other way, it turns this pickup on. I don't know, I guess you just think that if you turned it all the way to the left, the pickup closest to the left would be on, but that's in reverse. But that's the only sort of issue with that. Other than that, it turns on the pickups just fine. And then these 2 knobs down here are just a real basic sort of 2-band EQ. So you have a bass control and a treble control, so bass cut, treble cut. But yeah, that's about it. It's got a jack just in the body there. The jack is probably something that I'd maybe upgrade. I'm going straight into Logic, so I've just got my bass plugged into my interface, and that's going into Logic. I'll do one that's just straight DI, no effects, no compression, no EQ. And then I'll pull up an amp sim and have a little bit of fun with that. Before we start playing, just important to know that I do have Labella Deep Torque and flats strung up on this bass. The bass chipped with rounds, but I personally like the flats on the fretless. I'll get into that after the playing demo, but for me it's flats. This bass isn't a custom shop master built bass, so for $2.99 you do have your flaws, but I will give it to Artist. The flaws are pretty minuscule. They're nothing that will majorly affect the playability of the bass, but I'm trying to be as honest as I can, and so I think it is important to note these. The first being that since this fingerboard isn't coated in anything, the bass shipped with rounds from the factory. The round strings did make an impression on the fingerboard. I'll show some close-up footage, particularly the A and D strings. The E wasn't too bad, but it's important to note that if you choose to keep rounds on, that it may chew up the fingerboard eventually. My phone ran out of battery, so I had to swap to my laptop. I apologise for the quality if it's any bad. But continuing on with the flaws, another thing was the bridge, which I did mention, and I'll show up close footage for all of these issues as well. But my bridge was a little bit scratched from factory. I really don't mind that it came with those scratches. It is a cosmetic sort of thing, but I can understand if someone was upset about it because you are spending hard-earned money. And you know, when you do, you want a good product, you know, you want your item to be in really good condition. Another thing was I had a little bit of discoloration up on the back, sort of the back side of the upper horn. Now, I really don't care for that at all. It's just a cosmetic thing. It's just a tiny bit of discoloration. When I play, I can't see the back of the horn. If I'm playing to like you or to an audience or anyone, you can't see the back of the horn. But again, you know, if you're spending money, you want your item in good condition, and that is something to keep note of, that it left the factory like that. Another thing also was that when I got the bass, it needed a good setup, and I tried to do that myself. Eventually just gave up to a professional. But while trying to do that and trying to get the neck straight, and the saddles as low as I could, I found that the A and B strings were like, they were clipping on here. I thought the neck was maybe a little bit high. Now this bass did come with this little like black plastic thing that sort of goes on the back there of the neck. It goes under the plate. I took it off and it sort of helped. I don't know if that was the cause or not, but I took it off and I don't plan to put it back on. I mean, none of my other basses have it. And the neck feels really good without it anyway. So another thing also is that the pick guard could probably be cut a little bit wider. It is very tight on the neck, and I noticed that when I took the neck off to take that little plastic thing off, there was markings on the neck from where the pick guard is going in. Again, if you're not taking the pick guard or the neck off, it's not that big of an issue. But I think just a little bit wider would make that easier. But other than that, you know, it sits really nice and flush with the body, with the neck, so it's nothing really to be that worried about. For $2.99, you really can't go wrong. You've got an active circuit, two very versatile pickups and control options. You've got fret lines, so you know, you can try and figure out where you are. Along with the dots as well, so it really does help. So you're really not swimming in the deep end quite yet, but you know, once you get used to it, you'll be swimming with the dolphins, as Donnie Bennett would say. So if you've ever considered trying out fretless bass, I would highly recommend giving this one a go, because you're not going to find anything else like this on the market, and it is a solid instrument.